And welcome to On the Radar. I am Paul Mireles.
I'm Ryan Shoptaugh.
And I'm Roxie Van Ruiten.
And of course, here on the Radar, we'll take you beyond the forecast with the wildest and most trending weather videos. All right, guys, it has been a real active severe weather season, hasn't it?
It has. I've used my rain boots more often than I
Yeah,
would
well,
think.
that's a good proxy for knowing if it's been a severe weather season. If it's
That's
an
a good
active season,
proxy that Roxy uses her rain boots.
There we go.
Yes, you know it's severe. So anyway, Roxy, I think you've got some particulars, right?
Yeah, so let's go back to May. So May actually witnessed a historic tornado outbreak in the U.S. with 56 confirmed tornadoes and 27 fatalities.
Okay, it has been very active.
Yeah.
Where Oklahoma always offers the most amount of her tornadoes. and EF0, EF1, the most common, right? And then after that, it starts to get more rare, but it's possible during the month of May. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is true. So we start off the show here in Texas, I believe.
Yeah, and let's go to Central Texas. This is another byproduct of severe weather, hail. And this is an incredible video, guys. Take a look. This is out of Windsor Park, just again near the Austin area. Hail hit hard, large hail. And you can hear some of that video. So much of these people that were experiencing this and who lived in this part of Austin, they had to shovel hail out of their streets, driveways, out of potholes. I mean, you see hail, but you don't see it in this abundant amounts at one time. You know what I'm saying?
I have seen a lot of weather videos, a lot of hail videos. This one is one of the most dramatic I think I've ever seen.
I didn't believe it when I saw it on social media. I was
Right,
like, are you sure this is Austin?
Right. Yeah, you know that one with it all piled up looked like it was AI generated, but
almost looks just like a pile of ice. Which I mean, what it is, but you know that's incredible.
I saw that the winds peaked at 77 miles per hour.
Oh wow, I believe it.
They're in Leander, which is very close to Austin. Well, there's Windsor Park in Austin. So anyway, the whole area. Look at that. That's totally amazing.
It's incredible.
Okay, well, we're going to stay in Texas. We're going to go a little bit more to the Houston area. You know where Conroe is. Conroe is just north of Houston.
Yeah.
Anyway, storms across that area lit up the sky with a lightning show. Of course, they caused damage. And this tree snapped and completely fell on top of a vehicle there in the Conroe area. Winds reached about 60 to 70 miles per hour. And the owner of this vehicle said he could hear the wind howling early in the early morning hours, and he was hoping that there would not be a ton of damage, but there was a ton of damage. And,
the first thing you notice, obviously raining, but Paul, I know you notice the winds too if they're gusting upwards of 70, 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And this can be the result of that. I mean, just
falling
tree limbs and anything in the street acting as projectiles. And when the winds are strong enough to knock down trees that have large branches like this, the winds are over 80.
Yeah, probably so. 80 miles an hour, I would say, at a minimum 70 something. So yeah, so some damage there. So I'm glad everybody is okay.
Absolutely.
All right, then we've got some flooded street video, I believe.
That's right. Back home in SA. So last week was a very rainy week. So we catched up to those rainfall totals, and we had those flooded roadways. Did you guys get affected by it?
A little bit,
I try to stay away from flooded roads myself.
But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just run into them. Sometimes you just drive into it. And when people say turn around, don't drown, I understand. I get that. But there are times where this is the only route you can take. And sometimes you have to drive through it, but you shouldn't. That's the problem, right? That's the concern.
I think sometimes people just get surprised. Just caught off guard. All of a sudden, the water starts rising, and then they don't know what to do.
And they don't know how deep it is, and they don't know how fast it's moving. Obviously, this water is more, accumulated on the roadway, so it's not moving very fast. But still, you don't know how deep it is, and that can
don't
be a
drown
problem.
if you have a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
I want an SUV so bad because you can get away with it, a little bit.
Yeah. But if you're in an SUV, it does help. There's no doubt about it. It's a lot better than like a real low car. I'm trying to think. There's some Lexuses that are really low to the ground, and maybe your Civic is low to the ground.
It does not.
Anyway, so you got to watch out.
Yeah. More severe weather up farther north of Texas and Oklahoma, as it always happens in Oklahoma across the Central Plains. Take a look at some of this video. This was a result of a flash flood warning that was in effect for parts of eastern Oklahoma as severe thunderstorms rolled through the region on May 24th. Take a look at that. I mean, the visibility is low. You can't see much, but that's That's heavy rain. And according to the National Weather Service, the storm was expected to bring wind gusts over 70 miles per hour, which qualifies it as a severe thunderstorm. Kelly Rose captured this video of the severe storm with 61-mile-an-hour winds and some higher gusts. And driving through that kind of rain, it's scary, right? It gets dangerous.
It gets
you don't even want to move at that point, you know?
Right. You notice it looks like almost like waves. When you start seeing that, you know the winds are really picking up there. Oh, so you said about 60 to 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. And Paul, Roxie, what qualifies a storm to be severe regarding the wind gusts? Paul, answer?
58.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
You can tell who's
that's
gonna
what
do it.
that's what the National Weather Service, they wait till these winds are producing 58-mile-an-hour winds, and then also quarter-size hail, 1 inch in diameter, right? Those are the two.
I believe it's 0.88.
Is it
to
really
be accurate? Yes.
Oh wow.
0.88.
Okay, accuracy with Paul Mireles.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Good
an
stuff.
inch, I guess 0.88. What is that? The size of a quarter or something?
It's a little smaller than a quarter.
A little smaller than a
Yeah,
quarter.
it's about
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and you know what? You know at home. You know when the storm is severe, right? Right. So anyway, they could have, if you're at your house and winds are like 40 miles an hour, and you've got hail that's maybe the size of nickels, to those folks.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's severe, right?
It's just what qualifies a storm as severe in textbook,
Right.
But anything can be severe. Pea-sized hail, gusty winds as well.
Yep. Okay, it is June. What does that mean? It means
Hot girl summer.
Well, wait.
means what?
That too, actually.
What does it mean?
Hot girl summer.
hot girl summer.
But-
That was not where my mind was.
Because this is a weather show.
But
this is
South
on the
Padre
radar.
Island, Daytona Beach, Panama
I think Paul,
City.
I think Paul was looking for hurricane
Oh, right.
season.
That's what I was
but,
looking for, hurricane
That's what I meant.
It's okay.
But I like your. But anyway, hurricane season. Okay, we need to have like a bell or like a foghorn or something for hurricane season. Okay, hurricane season is out. You want to know what NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, what they say about hurricane season this year? Would you like to know?
Of course.
Okay, I got the answer right here. Of course, you guys already know. But anyway, the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season is going to be a rough one. A little bit above average. They say they're predicting a 60% chance of above normal hurricane activity. Forecasters expect up to 19 named storms, including 6 to 10 hurricanes, with at least 3 of those being Category 3 or higher, which is major hurricane. And every Cat 5 to hit this country was okay, this is one thing to know here, okay? Every Category 5 to hit the United States was a tropical storm or less 3 days prior. That's pretty incredible, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of Harvey. Harvey wasn't a Cat 5, but boy, rapid intensification.
Yeah.
All right, the big ones that hit this country, they are fast. So you got to plan early because the big ones, they move really quick, and there is truth to that.
Because the water is just so warm in the Gulf along the East Coast, and these storms and hurricanes, they need warm water to not just survive but thrive, and that's how they rapidly intensify.
Right.
Yeah.
But what do you say to people that always criticize? They make comments like
Criticize.
they always say they always say NOAA always calls for an above average season. It's always going to be in an active year, but it varies because of different atmospheric factors, El Nino, La Nina.
Yeah, there's the INSO that plays. its
Right, there's a
part.
lot of things that play into
water temperature, all kinds of things play. How many easterly waves?
Right.
A lot. This is what I say for people that criticize. It's weather.
It's weather. Weather's going to change.
Weather's going to change. Sometimes it's hard to really pin it down.
It's an inexact science.
It's
When
an
was the
inexact.
last year they said it was going to be below average?
Whenever we had like a strong El Nino, because La Nina
Yes.
jumps up hurricane activity in the Atlantic
Exactly.
specifically.
You
So
know what,
whenever
though?
we had a
I
El
can't
Nino.
remember the last below average forecast. I can't.
That's
remember.
why I'm like, when was the last time?
Yeah, right.
I want to
because-
say in the last 5 to 10 years, but
Yes.
it wasn't that long ago. I think it's been somewhat recent.
You know what? We need to do. You know what? For next
need to do some
week's
research.
on the radar,
Yeah.
we'll do some research, and we will come up with that answer.
Yeah. Well, hurricanes can cause storm surge and flooding. Take
Yes.
a look at this video.
Well, this is a tease.
This is a tease. So take a look at this, and we're going to have details on this.
Oh wow! We're
Where
going
and
airborne.
when it
Airborne.
happened, when On the Radar returns.
And welcome back to On the Radar. Of course, it is still tornado season. So where are we going to go, guys? Not Oklahoma.
No, we typically go to Oklahoma.
Yes,
Right.
we typically go. This time we're going to Pennsylvania. Yeah, strong. Okay. Now, these were strong winds. They say it was a tornado, but you make up your mind. Take a look at this. Strong winds blew the roof off of a shed. I know you see a house there, but it's behind that. Yeah. There. It's in Unionville, Pennsylvania on May 21st. Closed caption footage or closed circuit footage showed this. And this was coming from the volunteer fire department, right? And it shows all those rainy conditions and anyway, that roof being blown off. Here's what the National Weather Service said. They said that they could confirm that a tornado did touch down based on the video, this video right here. Now, I don't see the tornado per se, but you do see the roof blowing off. Maybe it's so rainy you can't see, but anyway, that footage.
You say you don't see the tornado. Are you waiting for like lower visibility, heavier rain to help indicate maybe the presence of a spin-up tornado or a rotation?
Exactly. I mean, that's why. You know what? That's a good point, Ryan. That's why they go back after the fact and look and investigate, because sometimes by footage or on radar,
they just don't know.
You just don't know if it was high winds or if it was a tornado.
Right. It's hard to differentiate between straight line winds and tornadic winds, right? I mean, both are intensely strong, but it's hard to differentiate. You know what I just noticed? That flag that's in front of the house. That flag is going like up. Is it?
Instead of, you can't see it now. I don't know if we want to wait to recycle all the way back, but look at this flag that's in the front.
Is it because of rising air?
Look.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never seen a flag go up.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Maybe that was a tornado.
Yeah. Interesting.
Pretty cool. So we got more tornado footage for you. But Ryan, we're going what?
We're going
south of the border. We're
going
south.
International.
Yes.
Which we do here on the radar. Let's take a look at this. This happened in Chile. A tornado ripped through Puerto Veras, a city in southern Chile.
No, say it right.
Okay, you know what?
Puerto
Roxie,
Veras.
Can you help him out with that?
Puerto Veras.
Okay. There we go.
Sorry. My fault. This is in southern Chile on May 25th, causing damage to homes and property, as you can see. The Chilean Meteorological Directorate confirmed an EF1 touchdown in the area, according to the preliminary classification. As you can see, the footage is all over the place, which happens a lot when you're trying to film a tornado because winds are just going berserk, right?
Right.
Moderate damage, roofs severely destroyed, cars, sheds overturned or severely damaged, exterior doors, windows, and other items lost and glass broken, the agency said. According to reports, at least 19 residents were injured and over 5,000 customers were without power following the tornado. That's the worst part, right? I mean, obviously the damage in the wake of the storm, but when you're trying to recover from a storm and you don't have power, electricity, it's a problem.
I didn't realize they had tornadoes like that in Chile, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, I know they probably have
Europe.
Yeah. I imagine, they probably have, lots of tropical rain, heavy downpours, but seeing that kind of severe weather, it's a little different.
I read an article that they're much happier than people in the U.S. So
really,
anyways.
In Chile,
yeah.
I wonder why.
Maybe because of less tornadoes, because this is rare.
Maybe because they have less tornadoes.
It could be. It could be.
So
I don't
know. Investigate that.
Right.
Why are people happier? I don't know. Are people happy in Australia?
Maybe it's just cheaper over there.
It could be. It could be. No, that's
To live.
So inflation. Okay.
You have to pay for air.
Yeah. How about Australia?
All right. Yeah. Now we're taking things to Australia, south of Australia. Okay. You can correct me if I say this one wrong.
Now it's my turn. Now it's my turn. Yes.
Of Aurora? Aurora?
How do you spell it? I need a spelling
on that.
Is that a puppy?
Did I hear?
Roxie, do you have a spelling on that? It's ORROROO.
That's a tough town to pronounce. Yeah, I know. But it's Australia. It's Australia.
Yeah. Well, they had some red haze due to red dust due to smothering town. Oh, my bad. But anyways, it was just a dusty red. And you know what? This is a lot like El Paso. So, but we had the Saharan dust from Africa. And whenever that happens, we have really pretty sunrises. And
yeah, but nothing like this, though.
Yeah,
no, not like that.
This
looks like Mars.
It's like Mars. There you go.
Do you ever notice like there's like orange dust storms and like red dust storms? Is that because of the density of the particulates of the sand? I don't know. Like I've never seen that deep red orange color in a dust storm. I don't know if it's the camera that's just not adjusting to the light that's entering the camera lens, but it just looks like a very dark, deep orange red versus just other dust storm video footage we've seen. It's not that deep in color.
Yeah. The only thing I can compare it to, sometimes out in West Texas, the dust storms will get that bad, and it kind of does look a little like brown.
Yeah.
Or almost like a red tint.
It just looks really dark.
And plus, I do think in parts of Australia, they do have some red dirt.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
they got that Ayers rock, and I think that's kind of red.
That might influence the temperature.
I don't know a whole lot about Australia.
Yeah, but that's a good
especially
This is what I imagine Burning Man is like that. Going to that festival.
You know what? Maybe. Maybe Burning Man. Okay, we're going to stay in Australia. This is going to blow you away. This video is absolutely amazing. This is out of New South Wales, okay? This happened on the 21st. A lot happened on May 21st, by the way. But look at this video, okay? So there was record floodwaters in Australia's east coast, and 3 people had died, unfortunately. 1 is missing. Anyway, this heavy rain was all over the place, and more than 500 people were rescued. That's a lot of folks that were rescued there. The area had been hit with heavy rain for several days. Matter of fact, they're saying that this flood is the worst they've seen in 100 years. Go all the way back to 1921, 1929. Yeah. They received about a foot of rainfall in a 24-hour period. That'll do it. 50,000 people were told to prepare to evacuate, and 330 flood rescues. That's a lot of flood rescues were conducted in a 24-hour period. 330? We're going to have to go back and investigate that. That seems like a whole lot. Anyway, this is footage from New South Wales Police. They just show people that are stranded, and this low-pressure area gave 2 feet of rain to some parts.
So they got, they received about a foot of rain in less than 24 hours, and then an additional foot over time, which just aggravates all the flooded areas. And, this is a video you see out of like hurricanes, tropical storms, but this is just a normal storm.
It's like
event,
a mid-latitude cyclone.
Right, exactly. That just cranks in
Not to
rain.
get too scientific.
No, but that's good. No, it's true. A baroclinic cyclone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Not barotropic, but baroclinic.
Baroclinic.
Yes. See, that's how we take you beyond the forecast right there.
Yes, the terminology.
Yep.
All right,
let's bring it back to the States.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go to Alabama, more towards tornado season, right? That was flooding rains. Now let's take a look at, strong wind gusts and tornadic winds. Again, this was in Alabama.
Okay.
A tornado watch was issued for the Tennessee Valley.
Where is the Tennessee Valley, by the way?
South of the Midwest.
No. It says right here.
Oh, well, yeah. It's
Huntsville.
Okay. Northwest of Huntsville. Yeah, I was like, anyway. This is a funnel cloud that was just east of Athens, Alabama. That's the details on it.
Yeah.
But, that's incredible. Notice how, the houses, it's quiet, but in the distance, you can see the tornado where, this part where the vantage point of the camera, it's not rain wrapped. It's not, it's not too bad.
Okay, this is a good point here, Ryan, because that's what I was thinking of. That's the deep south. That's Alabama.
Yeah.
Usually these tornadoes are not as photogenic because they're rain wrapped.
That's what I was
But
thinking.
that's kind of rare to have such a photogenic tornado like that, that rain doesn't get in the way.
Most people have a difficulty on capturing and seeing tornadoes.
Plus, in this part of the country, there's a lot of pine trees. This must be like a new development or something. Where
Right.
they just did away with the pine trees, and you can't see them as well. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's incredible.
So this would be a great time.
Yeah, so that video, it didn't specify from the Weather Service whether it was an EF0, EF1. It looked like a powerful tornado.
It did look like.
But let's take a look at some of the different levels of a tornado. Now, the majority of tornadoes that form and are confirmed and are surveyed from the National Weather Service, EF0, EF1, which range from 65 miles an hour to about 110 miles an hour.
Right.
And that can cause minor to moderate damage. Paul, like broken windows, small trees uprooted, poles can be toppled, significant roof damage. And then we upgrade to an EF2. That's considerable damage, 111 to 135 miles per hour.
Ryan, can I stop you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Did you use AI or something?
I did. Chat GPT. A lot of different.
Like,
this is
dragged us
amazing.
off it from
I'm
Max.
trying to do my best here on the beyond the forecast here on the radar.
Well, we're going beyond right here.
Yeah, EF3 up to 165 mile an hour winds. This is when damage is severe. Bark is stripped from tree roots. EF4 is when it gets really bad. Most homes are leveled at this point.
Cars
are
thrown
thrown
into
the air.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, you see that in movies, but I don't think I've ever seen that in person.
I've seen EF4 damage.
There's always a car and a cow.
You're right. In these, well, no, seriously, in movies,
Twister.
they're always
In every movie.
Right. Now, this is the worst. EF5, 201 miles per hour. This is incredible, catastrophic damage.
Nothing left.
Grass is ripped through yards. Homes are swept away.
Yeah.
Concrete is ripped from the ground. Can you imagine just seeing concrete blown away?
Literally, yeah. That's why we don't have very many EF5s.
Yeah,
that's totally incredible.
It's a very small percentage of all tornadoes that happen across the world, and especially here in the United States.
Yeah, very, very, yeah, exactly right.
Little explainer on the enhanced Fujita scale, the EF scale we use to measure tornadic wind speeds.
Tell you what, today Ryan gets the gold star. That made me excited. Honestly, I like that. I don't know where you got that, but that is incredible.
Again, AI.
It's not that hard. but-
Okay.
Roxie's like,
I can
that
find
wasn't
it.
that impressive.
Okay, Roxie.
Okay. So that prompts me to ask Roxie, what was better, Twister 1 or the remake?
Wow,
of Twister?
that is a great question,
Well, I
Roxie.
saw the remake pretty recently. It's been a while since I've seen the first one.
Okay.
So Bill Paxton, legend.
Legend. Love Bill Paxton. By the way, he's from Fort Worth, Texas.
I have to say the original.
Would you? I would say the second one.
The second one's really, really, really good.
Yeah. You know why
Glenn
I like
Powell,
the second one?
you know.
A little bit more modern. I think the first one was slightly hokey.
Yeah.
The second one was not.
And
as
I
hokey,
think
but-
they introduce a lot of meteorological verbiage. I mean, every time you hear them on screen, they're talking meteorology.
Yeah,
in the
I
second
thought it
one,
was.
you
I thought
know.
it was excellent. I thought it was really,
really good.
But the one thing that they didn't talk a whole lot about was Madus. Madus clouds.
Yeah.
And you're probably wondering, what are Madus clouds? You've seen them before. And these Madus clouds, they occur when the atmosphere is just very unstable. Okay, these fluffy Madus clouds were seen in North Texas, May 22nd. National Weather Service issued a severe thunderstorm watch for that area course. This footage was captured by X-user HROB57R7.
Thanks for specifying.
Username, ladies man. No, shows the pouch-like clouds hanging over Sherman, Texas, which is right on the Texas-Oklahoma border.
North Texas, yeah.
Yes, exactly. The National Weather Service says there were severe thunderstorms in that area. All right, so Madus clouds, I've always thought these were the most awesome clouds. You know those pouches?
Yep.
Yeah.
Those individual pouches only last for about 10 minutes long. And you'll only see these clouds when it's extremely unstable.
So is it because of a surrounding thunderstorm and all the air that's rising spreads out laterally across the upper level
On the anvil.
of the anvil,
And
right?
the bottom side of that anvil.
And the air has nothing to do but go down,
Right.
And that's causing these little pouches
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
upper levels of the atmosphere, like
Yeah.
near the upper troposphere, right? I mean,
Ryan, you're pretty much right. Yeah, exactly right. So very unstable situation. When you see these clouds, you know that there's a big, bad thunderstorm not too far away.
that's incredible.
Isn't that incredible?
Good footage.
Okay, I like that footage as well. Okay, now here's the question of the day. Will she say yes
Whoa.
or will she say no? We're going to find out the answer when On the Radar returns. And welcome back to On the Radar. Well, we've covered just about everything on this show today, except for one thing. We've got one thing left that we have not covered: fire.
Yeah.
Fires. We got to
What do
start
you
in
got, Rob?
California.
What's that?
California.
Oh, California.
They're
Okay.
always happening in
California.
California along the West Coast.
Yeah, so we're starting with a brush fire. So this was in Encino, California. Broke out in San Fernando Valley, injuring one person. Oh,
Okay.
wow. I haven't seen this footage.
Man,
that's
those
some-
branches
look
are
at the palm trees there.
engulfed
It's amazing.
into flames.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
Oh, man.
California fires can be just amazing. Awful.
Because they can spread from not just the ground, but from each treetop to the next treetop, and that's how they spread rapidly. And then plus California,
Plus the Santa Ana winds.
I was going to say
winds
it's just so windy in California, so that it's just a breeding ground for wildfires and brush fires.
Yep.
So that's incredible.
Yep, that is totally incredible there. By the way, the San Fernando Valley. Remember a show or two ago, I was talking about the valley, the Central Valley of California. That's not where the Valley Girls came from. Well, the San Fernando Valley, that is where
Really?
the Valley Girls came from. Yeah,
It's incredible footage, though.
Incredible footage. Yep, great.
All right, we're going from the ground up. We are going to go into the atmosphere. And in the last year, you've probably seen on social media the northern lights. Maybe in your neck of the woods, maybe not, but it's been going viral in the last 12 months. I mean,
most of the time, if you see these, your neck of the woods is cold.
Exactly, because these typically occur in the northern latitudes, like northern Canada, Alaska.
So cool.
But I mean, this is recently, and I believe the extension of where these lights were occurring was as far south as maybe the Central Plains, the Northern Plains.
I believe this is Pocatello, right?
Yeah.
Idaho?
Yeah, so this footage was posted by @SamWeather, who wrote a magnificent display of the aurora from last night. The National Weather Service said there was clear skies, perfect conditions, and a chance of seeing the aurora on Sunday and Monday from earlier this week. But geomagnetic storm level G4, and I know you were talking about that earlier, Paul.
Right. You know, people, but the pioneers a long time ago, if they were not from like northern
I mean,
Europe,
this is totally spiritual.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
When they would come out there in like northern states and they would see this, they would think there was a fire on the horizon.
Yeah. What's
It
incredible is
looks like that, like a fire.
and depending on where in the world you see this, the colors will vary, right?
yeah.
I mean, like here, you're seeing that little tint of green, some teal, there's some light
pink.
blue, and then it evolves into like a deep purple, and then there's sunrise. So
Yeah, I believe if you're like in Norway or Alaska or something like that, I think they're like overhead.
right. Whereas this is more on the horizon,
right on the horizon.
which makes me lead me to believe that it's probably farther south in latitude because they're seeing it in the distance, whereas farther north you'll see it in the sky.
Pocatello. I don't think
I
they
feel
see
like
them
this
all
is
the
one of
time.
the best ones I've ever seen.
Isn't
The
that
time
cool?
lapse is so cool.
That is really incredible.
That is really cool.
Well, let's talk about how these aurora lights form. This is truly incredible, guys. So here's a little explainer. So,
Oh, you got another one?
yeah, the planet has what we call a EM field made up of electricity and magnetism. Creatively enough, the EM field.
Not animal.
And it protects us from the solar winds because without the EM field, guys, we would be cooking. We would get all of the solar radiation at the surface, but the EM field actually helps protect us from the solar winds. Now, whenever those charged particles, those electrons get close to Earth, they follow the poles because these are where the currents are most strong. So they hit the northern pole and the southern pole, which is why you see these northern lights more, widespread at the pole in northern latitude, like Norway, Alaska. And the electrons get excited and they interact with different gases. So, for example, the red colors are excited from oxygen molecules. The blue aurora lights are created from the nitrogen molecules. Green from oxygen as well. And then even some pink colors are from nitrogen and a mixture of that and oxygen molecules. So a little explainer on the aurora borealis lights.
Ryan, you were.
Did you make this again from scratch?
Yeah.
Ryan's
Yeah,
about
Literally from scratch?
1,000, man. It's a good thing you're not in the College World Series because you'd be hitting everything out of the park.
Nice.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
but those are beautiful displays in the northern latitudes. And then in the southern hemisphere, it's farther south.
Yeah, it'd be the south, like closer to the South Pole.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, it's cool.
Brian, knocking it out of the park. Love it.
Trying to do it.
Okay. Now, we're going to answer that question that we teased, right?
That's right.
I wonder if she says yes.
Did she
because it's a
say
bummer
yes?
if they say no.
Yeah. So I got to see the size of that rock first. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, these
That
are
doesn't
storm
matter.
chasers.
It's love is
It's not
love. But,
love is the
but
size of
okay,
the rock.
Roxy, let's go.
I want to see if she made the right decision or not. But so this is Matt and Becky. They were chasing a tornado in Arnett, Oklahoma on May 18 when the unexpected happened. Michelle got down on one knee and proposed. And Becky said yes. This was posted on Facebook and it went viral.
Amazing news.
Yes.
Awesome news. I know they're happy. They look happy. But a part of you would be scared with that tornado in the distance.
We're just coming at
See,
you.
here's
You
the
were
thing.
right.
she's
That's it's a
excited.
different area to propose to the love of your life.
But apparently they know what they're doing.
They were chasing. They
Right.
were looking at radar, velocity. They were looking at the storm rotation. They were doing
Look
everything
at
right.
everything, the mean environmental wind
Yeah,
flow.
they're like
Direction storm.
the winds are moving from southwest to
That
northeast,
picture
and they're
is
like it's
great.
moving away from us.
Yeah, they knew exactly, but it made a great backdrop. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's actually really,
You guys
really
know
cool.
exactly what they're doing.
Well, congrats, guys. That
Okay,
is-
well,
that's awesome.
congratulations. All right,
Did you
we're gonna-
guys propose that way?
No,
Weather nerds?
I
Wow, no
proposed
effort,
in
honestly.
Bernie and the hill country of Central and South Texas, and it wasn't that
It wasn't dramatic.
It wasn't that dramatic, but it was amazing. It was amazing. Don't get me wrong.
But here's what I think. I think the more love there is, the less dramatic it has to be.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
It was in the HEB parking lot. No, I'm just kidding.
In the parking lot, you know. I tell you what, though, when there's love, it's like that magnetic field. You just can't. But anyway, all right, we're going to leave you with this, and we'll go back to what Roxie said earlier in the show. Hot girl summer. All right, we're going to leave you with this. Plenty of people will be out of the water this holiday season, middle of Lake Elsinore. Let's take a look at that video. I'm not sure if we got it. This is, of course, Lake Elsinore is southwest of Los Angeles. The sun is shining. People are out. And look at this. Now, I haven't done this myself. Maybe y'all have. But if you've got a big enough boat that makes a big enough wake, then you don't need a rope.
So I've gone wakeboarding, but I've always
had a rope,
and I've never been brave enough to say goodbye to the rope and just do it that way. You know, that takes skill, practice,
willing it,
repetition.
That's free.
Yeah, right.
That's free that is.
That is truly skillful.
And you know what? She makes it look easy, but it's really not that easy.
No, it looks incredibly hard. I don't think Roxie
Y'all
could
got
do
a
that.
boat like that?
No, that's what you need. You need a boat.
Yeah, Roxie
Get
has
a boat
you know,
first.
yeah.
You know, what we need to do is we need to take a trip to the lake and go and do this. I'd love to see you guys ski. This is not skiing though. This is board.
Yeah, wakeboarding.
I've actually never done that.
Well, we should try it one time.
Try that.
Especially in the summertime. You know, it gets hot and you need to find a way to cool off. And this is a perfect way to do that.
I love it.
I've gone to White Sands.
Yeah.
It's totally different. Yeah. But yeah, I need to do stuff like that.
It's a perfect way to end the show, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, send in your weather video, all your weather content, because we need this weather video to help fuel on the radar. So Ken's Weather at kens5.com is where you can send your awesome weather content to be included on the radar, Paul and Roxie.
Okay. And we won't take any video where you hurt yourself.
Please don't. Right. And especially if you see severe weather, be very careful.
Exactly.
Of your surroundings.
All right. Well, we loved it. We've got another show for you coming up next week. All right. Thanks so much. Enjoy the summer.